So it's good news. I haven't talked about it yet, but the boys working with Andy Taylor again. That's just great. That's such a great thing. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, the time. I mean, hopefully the time is there, but I don't think they feel the time is there to do a complete new original song studio album with them. But originally, that's what it sounded like when they said they were going to do it. But reading more into it now, it's like he's going to be on some tracks, and he's going to be, and they're going to be doing some covers. So hopefully, at least I'd like to see if they could get at least one new original song with him on it would be great, or maybe a couple. And if they have to do a couple covers, that's cool. It's going to be one of the. I think it's going to be one of those sort of dogs dinner albums where they have like a compilation, maybe a couple live tracks from this latest tour. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. I'm just trying to figure out what this album is going to be. You know, because at first I'm like, wow, all right, they're making a new album with Andy Taylor. It's great because, you know, poor Andy's very sick. Well, they take the opportunity while they can. Hopefully they have the time. Praying for him, you know. But, yeah, the more I read about it, the more, like, logistics come into play. And it's like, yeah, they're not going to be able to do a whole new album with him because I don't think they were ready to do a new album necessarily. And Duran in their history has always done this, where they have a great success and then they do the follow-up album and they do something dumb. Always. They always squander their lead. I think it's different this time though, because the other times where they would have like a hit record and then squander their lead, like what they did with the Wedding album, and following it up with that covers album that killed all their momentum, and they've done that a few other times too. In this case, the boost they got, the lead they got, was not only did they make a great album, but they were reevaluated critically, where people began to look at them again and appreciate what they've done. You know, they got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they got all these accolades. I think they've. And the thing about it is, like, a lot of the classic, like, rock bands are aging out. So we have to have some sort of acts that can replace these groups. And Duran has hung in there, you know, and they have the material. And they're right place, right time, as far as being re-embraced by the mainstream to a certain extent, or to a regular extent. But the thing is, right, when you have a successful moment, whether it's an album or something you did, that will last only until you make your next move. Like, if they hadn't, if they didn't put this is a perfect example, was that the Thank You album. Like, if they didn't release that, they still could have stayed in that successful mode, you know, because you could say, hey, Duran just came off this #1 song on this last album, and they're still in success mode. As soon as they drop that next thing, unless it's a success, they go back into the shithouse. So I think they probably learned from that, and I think originally they would have preferred not to make a new album and just stay in this success mode. You know, the success of the Future Past album and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing and all this kind of stuff that, you know, they're in a good zone. So the only thing that could stop that momentum is a new project. And then if that doesn't work out, then they're back down in the doghouse. Although this time, like I said, it's different because they got a big boost. You know, they've been recognized as a real classic band. And I don't think they're going to go back to the doghouse where, you know, fans will be trying to see them at a theater somewhere with just 2 members in the group. I think they're going to obviously stick together now. We're not going to see like a Medazzaland period or like perhaps a Thank You period. It's just not going to happen. So I think if this thing hadn't happened with Andy, they would definitely have tried to ran it out a little bit longer. And it's good that they're having this thing. And I don't think they're going to go back to the a fallow period. So I think they can do this and be okay. And yeah, there's no way they can do a whole studio album with them, but I'd like to see at least a couple original tracks, and hopefully it's just not all covers with him. And then what the rest of the album is, who's to say? It'd be a great surprise if it was all new songs. If they had kept those extra tracks from Future Past, you know, I could have used those, but they didn't foresee this coming. And I don't like what they did with those extra songs, like, because now there's like 6 versions of Future Past, depending on if you have the vinyl, deluxe edition, super deluxe. And unlike a lot of bands, what they did with these extra tracks is they resequenced them back into the running order of the album. You know, so now you have a complete, not completely different, but if you're into like getting into albums the way some of us are, the flow is really different. You know, adding those new tracks in. And the instrumental, not evocation, what's the instrumental? That was clearly, I think, originally meant to be the opening track. It's almost like Medazzaland. I'm going to put the name of the song on the screen so I can't think about it. But that song sounded to me like that would have been first. The thing with opening little instrumentals or intros, especially with a band like Duran, I think when you start up an album, you want to hit them with a good foot. You want to hit them with a good foot. I think that was Rick James that said that. No, you want to hit them with something right away, and so I think it made sense to start it with that and not use the instrumental to cut it off with. But to resequence it on another part of the album is strange. I don't like what they did, like as far as resequencing these songs back into Future Past. They gave it a slightly different cover too. It has a different color scheme on it. I didn't like that whole thing. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad we get the tracks, but I think they should have did like what they did with Paper Gods, where they just put these extra tracks. You can make your own playlist. We live in an age where, I mean, we live in a time when you could just put these, you can make your own playlist and put these songs together if you have to. So, I don't know, but enough about Future Past. It's still a great album. It's the best album they've done since, I don't know. I think we've had this conversation a couple times. It's try to figure out what it's the best since. It's the best since the Day, that's for sure. The Day being the 80s, you know, the original run. And yeah, I mean, well, I'm kind of curious to see where they go with this, how this is going to work out as far as making a new album. There's not much news coming out. Like I don't know. Actually, I should check their own official site. Like the last I heard, they were currently working with him. They were with him, like physically. I don't know what the current situation there is, though. But I don't know. Either way, I'm glad they're doing something with him. I'm looking forward to see what they come up with. It would be nice to have a few new original tunes with him, preferably stuff that maybe he co-wrote or had sitting around. But I'll be happy with anything. I'm just happy they're doing this with him, and they're risking their good run here by putting out something new that will cause a decline. Although, like I said twice already, I don't think it's going to, because they're way up here now. You know, with the way up here, like right about there, with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction and all this stuff. I think their cachet has grown exponentially to a point where people don't look at them like a boy band finally. You know, is there any more put upon band in rock and roll than the Duran Duran band? You know, the kind of stuff you have to. It's like a secret, kind of. For years, it's not that I was hiding it. It just didn't come up in conversation that I was like a big fan, because otherwise, some people get really weird about it. You like them, you might as well like New Kids on the Block. That's the media did that to these poor guys. They made the sin of being good looking, and because they were good looking, like if they weren't good looking, right? If they would be looked at they would be much more critically favored, for sure. You know, they'd probably be called, you know, one of the greatest post-punk art rock bands in history. Like, if they look like New Order, I think they would be a lot more favorably looked at with a critical eye, but who cares about all that shit? You know, as long as we love them, you know, that's all that matters. And we will continue to love them. I'll love them more if they got a few original songs with Andy on this next thing. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.